Hello, scrapbook friends. Welcome to Scrapland, and we're going to have fun making one of my favorite types of scrapbook pages today with the Curvy frame. We're going to use this recently released recipe template from Creative Memories, the whale tail. So let's get started and see what we come up with. We're going to show you how to take the whale-tailed recipe template and make this lovely layout. To make this layout, I've chosen the beach scenes paper pack, and I've chosen 2 pieces of paper. For the background, this beautiful green palm tree, and for the frame, I'm going to use this lovely designer paper that has the diagonal stripes on the back. I'm going to use these 3.5-inch square photos on our layout. I love making these kinds of layouts because they're fast and easy and use just a few tools. We'll need repositionable tape, and it really needs to be repositionable tape because we are going to have to reposition our work during the process, a pair of scissors, and a 12-inch trimmer. Okay, we're going to take our statement paper and we're going to make 2 cuts. Our first cut is going to be at 3.5 inches. Now I want my frames to go in this direction, so I'm going to cut 3.5 inches here, and I'll cut the second 4.5 inches there. So I'm cutting in this direction, so I'll get my frame oriented like I would like. So my first cut is 3.5 inches. This is my top piece. My mat to that is this, and I'm going to cut it at 4.5 inches. 4.5 inches for the mat. That leaves me with a 4-inch by 12-inch piece of paper, which I am going to cut into 3 4 by 4-inch mats for these photos. So while I'm cutting, I will go ahead and cut this paper to be the mats at 4 inches by 4 inches. And now I have 3 4-inch by 4-inch mats. So this is the whale tail recipe template, and it gets my vote for being the best recipe template Creative Memories has made. There is so much inside of this that you can use. You can use as little or as much of it as you want. You see the beautiful design here of the tail of a whale. You also can see rectangles for photo placement. You can see squares for photo placement. This shape here looks like a beautiful cloud. You have zigzag or triangles here. And what caught my attention were these lovely curves that show waves. There is just so much you can do with this template. It will get a lot of use in my craft room. Our next step now is to layer our frame layers. So we're layering our top layer on top of the bottom layer. And because the bottom layer is 1 inch wider than the top layer, we're going to layer it at about 1/2 inch from the top and 1/2 inch from the bottom. We're going to use repositionable tape to secure it. We're going to just put a little bit of repo along the edges and place this about 1/2 inch from the edge to create this lovely layered border. When we look at this template, there are a lot of different curves that can be used for the wave design. So I need to pick one, and I think this one is the one I want. So counting from the top, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5, I'm going to pick number 4, the 4th wave from the top. I have to say, this wave is awfully tempting, but that'll be another layout. So I'm going to pick this one right here. Okay. Now, I am going to put my curve on my layout. Now, 2 things you're going to notice. There is a frame, there is a difference around this mat. And that is just fine because we're going to be cutting by hand and we're not going to have perfection anyway. So we can just move our lines out to the edge when we're ready. But keeping an eye on this curve right here, and we can slant and tilt if we like. I'm going to be straight because I really think that is going to work. And I'm looking for about the halfway mark on this layout to be just about here. This is about the halfway line of this layout. So I'm going to use this black piece of cardstock for right now to kind of show where the half of this border is. And now I'm going to use my template and try to center it roughly around that halfway mark. Now that's just my personal preference. You do not have to be anywhere near that precise. But I know that if I put my wave roughly in the middle, that I'm going to pretty much like how it turns out. So now that I have my template where I want it, I'm going to remove the cardstock and kind of hold my template in place. And like I said, precision is not a requirement here. I'm going to take my pencil and lightly draw this line. Now I'm going to pause for a moment. You could draw your line on the back, or like I'm going to do, I'm going to draw it on the front and erase it when I'm finished. So, holding my template steady with one hand, I'm going to draw the lines. They will not be a continuous line, but I'm going to get close enough. I can fill in the gaps and the breaks. If you can see my line coming along here and crossing If you feel that you want to fill in the lines here, fill in the line there, fill in the line there, you can do that. So I'm giving this a look, and I'm asking myself, am I pleased with how this is looking? Looks a little small right there for this, and a big dip right there, but I actually think that will be just fine. So I do recommend that you kind of look at your lines and see if you like how it's going to turn out. If you don't like it, you can erase it, you can shift it and make another line, because with your pencil you can erase. I think I'm going to keep it just the way it is. So the next step is now with the two layers together, and it's important to keep the two layers together so that when you make this into a mat, the shape of the curve is going to follow precisely on both layers, and you do want that. So I'm going to start cutting. And these do not have to be precise or exact. We will erase, or you can also take an ink pad, a dauber, dab some ink, and give it a distressed look, which I'm quite fond of doing. And if you do that, it will cover up the pencil lines and some other cutting imperfections, etc. So you don't have to feel that you have to get this as perfect as if you were using one of the trimmers. And here is our intermediate level frame, and I adore how that looks. I am going to take a white eraser. These high polymer erasers are what I use. I don't use red erasers because they can stain your pages. And I'm gently erasing whatever pencil lines are remaining on my paper. And they turn out beautiful. Okay, the next step is to separate our mat from our frame. Now we're going to give it a more generous amount of adhesive. And we're going to layer the top and the bottom together. This would be our bottom, or it could be our top, however you want it to be. And now we have these beautiful frames. Before I move on, I would like to say that while that I actually had this upside down, face down. If you look at the Creative Memories logo, this is face up. And so you can either recreate this with this shape. So you could do it with this shape if you turn it face up. So now we're ready to put our frames on our background paper. And here we go. Just a little bit of adhesive. And you can use both repositionable and or a tape runner. you can also make these frames to do so many different configurations besides top and bottom. You could do this left and right, and it would be just as pretty of a layout. And now we can arrange our photos however we like. I think I want. Look at this beautiful layout. Super fast, super easy. Uses 2 whole sheets with no scraps left over. And this beautiful recipe template that has so many more uses and options coming up. I'm going to do something else with this because I'm totally in love with this. Thank you for watching, and come back to visit Scrapland soon.